Oh, no introduction.
No introduction? Oh, you want to introduce?
I don't know. I mean,
You said
yeah. You said you're gonna do it. Mike will introduce himself, right? Like self-introductory. But Mike joined 2 years ago as an undergrad, and then with a bunch of other undergrads, there was a lot of activity, but no output visible. But in Slack, you may have seen a lot of bots appear and disappear that people were building, Mike including, and others. But then Mike stayed, like some other people, and then as a master's student. And since then, we have 2 papers, IEEE conference and IEEE journal on Wirehead. We've developed, Mike developed system of training on synthetic data very efficiently. People at MIT and Massachusetts General Hospital suffer 7 days waiting until the result come out, and with this system we just start in the evening and see result in the morning. So that was a reduction, and developed something for BrainChop. If you've seen brainchop.org, and I hope you did because I presented it multiple times here, he developed something that people who don't like web, you shouldn't be here anyways, but because the talk is about web, people who like command line more can use the same models that are on brainchop.org. It's brainchop CLI command line integration of command line version.
Yeah.
That's how I know Mike, but he has been leading a secret line.
Yes, I have to lead.
And this is talk about not whatever I told you, but about his
yes, that was me. That was me primarily at Trends. That's what most of you know me as. But I also live a second life under a pseudonym, Mike Doan, online. And today I'm going to talk about essentially how do you build such a second life on the internet, and what kinds of fun and benefits you can get from that kind of thing. So a little bit about myself. I have a blog, it's mikedoan.com, and on which I am an ML researcher, but also a weeaboo. And I write blogs, and I also write anime reviews. It's primarily technical blogs on the blog side. So this one is about, taking back the web is actually very in line with the talk that I'm giving today about how you can actually escape the funnels that big tech has kind of handed to us. You don't actually have to live on LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. You can actually establish your own home and kind of grow your own grassroots internet movement. And then other ones are usually ML related, and then my recent one right there. I have a GitHub, which is where most of my work is shown. So I don't actually carry a CD. It's usually just pointers to my GitHub, on which I have contributions, open source, some side projects, some blogs, some joke software. I don't know if you've seen the Subway Surfer VS Code extension. I made one for yoga. It's called brainrot.infinite. And also on Twitter, under the same tag. Usually also about the same stuff, ML systems, usually technical jokes, and now recent convert over to the work that I've been doing alongside Morph Labs. So this summer, I went to work at Morph Labs, in which I worked on this project called Trinity. It is an auto-formalization system for verified superintelligence. None of those words probably make any sense, but it's basically making computers do math. In a separate way than the way you might think that math is done on computers. Aside from numbers, so usually you might think of computers as number crunchers or like calculators plus, there's also this formal proof-based math world that computers are usually kind of segregated from. Auto-formalization is a study, is a field in which you have computer software, usually proof assistants like Lean or Rock, and you can write proofs in this language, and they are more formal than formal math. It is the gold standard of formality in the field of mathematics. If something compiles with Lean, and you agree that the logic of the Lean implementation is sound, it is as formal as you could possibly get. So I worked on making LLMs essentially be able to use the system and prove very big things. So here is one of the results. The ABC conjecture is a statement about like 3 co-prime numbers, and this was a related proof to the ABC conjecture by De Bruyne. 6,000 lines of Lean, or 3,000 lines of Lean. was the first one, and this is the gigantic proof tree that was generated afterwards. And so you might notice no brains. So the second life that I hold online is pretty much somewhat separated from the life that I hold here at Trends. And yeah, but they are sometimes intersected, such as I'm also the maintainer of Print of CLI, as Sergey mentioned. You should use it all the way. Also, it's very nice. And I also make open source software, like say the implementation of ADF2F, which is a formal peer improving benchmark. And I write blogs like this one. So why am I here today? Well, the first one is because I was also stumped, like many of you are, by the traditional hiring pipelines. But I fortunately found some alternative paths, and I made a bunch of friends and connections along the way. It got me a job, and I managed along the way to build a home on the internet, and I think it's a shareable skill. So what do I mean when I talk about digital legibility? Also, by the way, completely informal talk. Feel free to interrupt me anytime if you have questions or if you want to interject.
What do you think the home is on the internet?
A home on the internet is essentially, it mostly means a website, but it also means a presence. Certain people carry a presence on the internet that is always under, like it's in the undercurrent of whatever website that you're on. When you go to, say, Hacker News, it's Paul Graham. Like you smell Paul Graham, you see Gary Tan, you see Sam Altman. When you go on to, say, Forum.net or like various other websites that are home to like blogs, personal blogs of people, you can see their personality right on there. In the same way that you might decorate your home, you can also decorate your website. And it's a way to establish yourself and a thing that people can refer to you by. And so I work at Trend Center, so it's kind of like a research home here for me. And the body of work is kind of my home. In the same way, I can have a website that can also be linked to a Twitter account, can also be linked to a LinkedIn account, can also be linked to various other social medias. And so it's a way for people to tell where I am. And it could also serve as a way for people to talk to me. So they could send me, this has happened many times. People will read something that I've written and then text me and then have a conversation with me about that. And so it's kind of like a identity multi-tool, something like that. It's also a place for you to showcase whatever it is that you might want to showcase.
And it's international.
It's international, yes. I make a point about this in the future, but essentially all of you here are citizens of a country that was like extremely well fought for, but no one kind of tells you that you are entitled to this property. Like the internet is completely transnational, it's completely like ungovernable to a large extent, and it didn't have to be that way. It could have completely been sealed in DARPA, for example, and only accessible to people with credentials. But
People are trying.
People are still trying to, people are still trying to do that, but there are also people on the other side who are fighting to keep it completely free and open.
For us.
Huh?
That was just coffee.
Yeah. Okay, so some icebreaker questions for people. Who here has a website?
Website.
You have a website?
I sort of have a website.
Yeah. Who here can ask who is your name into an LLM and get a response?
I can get it.
Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Yeah, so you do, all of you have an internet presence. Who here has gotten a job through the website? Yes. Who has a favorite blogger? Too many? A decent answer. Who has a favorite website? Wonderful. Who here has thought, I should make a website, but never did it? You're in the right place. You're in the right place. So regarding digital legibility, let's do a quick quiz. What is this website? Wikipedia. What is this website? Washington Post? Close.
CNN.
Close. Close.
Times?
New York Times. What is this website? Twitter. What is this website? Medium, yes. So what is this website?
Bing.
Probably shouldn't have chosen this picture. This is BuzzFeed. Yeah. This is BuzzFeed. Yeah. So how is it the case that some websites are immediately visible? Like Wikipedia, it's slammed in your face, and you know it's just Wikipedia. But all of you have probably been on New York Times, you've been on Medium, you've been on Twitter, but some websites are just more recognizable than others. And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about digital legibility. It is primarily about indexability and not only in the computer science sense. So of course, there's the first way, which is that you can be Googled. This is what people over-index on. People optimize way too much for Googleability, but it can also be remembered. So index from your brain. It can also be LLM, so index from the human corpus. You might also be indexed from the academic press. You might also be through word of mouth. And then each of these actually have a digital and physical variant. And so if you want to be digitally legible, you kind of want to optimize for all of these things or the ones that matter to you. For example, I care primarily about being LLMable. What is that?
Yeah.
If you think about who's the one that said the time that you die? Forget who has that quote. Might be some Chinese philosopher. But yeah, the first time you die is when you actually die. The second time you die is the last time someone talks about you. And by optimizing for LLMability, I'm cementing myself firmly in the human corpus. So it essentially renders me immortal. You end up with a bunch of people who think like this in the Silicon Valley kind of like insane techno people space, which is why I'm sort of glad that everyone here is moderately sane. But you can also optimize for this. If you want to be an academic, you should optimize primarily for Google Scholar. And this is easy. You can actually, a lot of people are doing this these days. You can actually add a citation to whatever you want. It doesn't have to be a paper. So you can add a citation to your blog. You can actually add a citation to your Reddit. You can add a citation to your GitHub repo. All works. And real example, if you look at the Llama 4 paper, there's actually a citation to a Reddit user. And there's also a citation to a 4chan user. And there's a citation to one of my friends, Kyle Kendev on Twitter, regarding a modification to the rope embeddings for transformers. So there are many strategies that are completely untold on how to be indexed more in these ways. And I would like to show them to you through example. So what does it mean to be indexable? You can imagine a town square. So this is, imagine you've never kind of made it your place on the internet before. And the internet is just this huge town square where everyone can kind of go to and say whatever they want. A common failure mode is what I like to term the collective unconscious. This is what I view most people on the internet as. They essentially talk about whatever it is that appears in front of them. They're very reactionary and they essentially act like a mirror. Whatever is the current discourse, they have to correct. If someone said that's something wrong, they discuss that. But they never bring anything new onto the internet. And so they're largely pretty forgettable. There's many of them. And you can be this person if you want, but you're kind of a guest if you stay in this mode of just being, the Twitter term for it is reply guy. But eventually you want to move towards someone like Paul Graham, who has been writing essays for the past 20 years. Many of these essays are part of this thing I call the internet canon. These essays like how to do great work, having kids, how to lose time and money. It's, let's say this. In the same way that the English language has a canon, like you have to read Shakespeare, you have to read the Iliad, you have to read, say like David Foster Wallace and all these people. The internet also has its own body of canon. And if you want to really pierce the space, the fastest way to do so is to read and consume the internet canon. Such as amazing posts here, geeks, mops, and sociopaths in subculture evolution. Amazing post regards how cultures evolve. And so the culture that I'm talking about right now isn't internet culture more broadly. It's technically an internet subculture. It is 90s hackers mentality, open source software mentality. It's the internet should be free, should be open, it should be accessible. And yeah, Paul Graham also has contributed a bunch of things to the internet canon itself. There are also many, many more articles. There's articles for anything you might be interested in. Here's an article on Richard Feynman and his time at Thinking Machines. Amazing article. Reveals a connection regarding Richard Feynman that people don't really discuss. So aside from being a physics person, he's also foundational for the development of parallel computers, which we all love and use today. So yeah, the connection machine at Thinking Machines is one of the first parallel computers ever invented. If you would like to read more of these things, there's a website called readsomethingwonderful.com, and it has hundreds of these articles, brilliant pieces of writing you can access for free today. One thing that you kind of want to focus on is please don't lie. There will be, given the fact that you can be anyone you want, you don't have to reveal your name, you don't have to tell anything about your history. There will be a pull towards projecting an identity that you yourself don't actually have or believe in. And so you get stuck doing things like SEO. There is an extent to which this somewhat matters, but it matters less and less and less with alternative social media, say Twitter, LinkedIn, those kinds of things. You basically don't have to optimize for SEO anymore. All you really have to do is stick to a consistent label. So Sergey has S-Bliss, for example. I have Mike Doan's. Anyone in here has an identifiable? Yes, wonderful. What's yours?
Grothmau.
Huh?
It's from like World of Warcraft when I was really young. Grothmau.
Grothmau?
Grothmau. It's like soup broth.
You don't seem happy with it.
I know. I wish I would have changed it, but it's just one of those things that just I'm like, I'm not going to use this again, and then it turns out I do need to use it, like for GitHub, for example.
You can just change it.
Yeah, but then everything else that I'm added on, I can't change that.
That's okay. You can rebuild yourself. You can make a new identity. The name Spike Duans is like my 5th name on the internet. I have like 7 more. And it's great. It's great having compartmentalization like this because I think true free speech doesn't really exist without some extent of anonymity on the internet. Because otherwise, even if you don't say who you are, there is the identifiers to your previous work that people can use to basically index what you say. And so having a bunch of pseudonyms is kind of useful in general. And if you're skilled at digital legibility, you can maintain multiple. And you can write blogs under pseudonyms, you can share them around. And it's a great way to participate in internet culture. So SEO is one of the things you might waste time on. Chasing trends is another thing that people do. There's like this machine learning grind set thing that's kind of going on Twitter. It's been going on since last year. Probably also on LinkedIn. It's performative posting. Please don't do this. It's somewhat eroding for your soul a little bit. You're sacrificing your own voice just for numbers. It's also for this reason that I kind of despise Elon for adding monetization to Twitter. It completely poisoned the well as to the authenticity of what people post. So people are much more willing to post things that are trends, things that are things that they know will be controversial, will get a lot of comments, will get a lot of likes.
People do that without monetization. We're just this kind of monkey that does that. Like, I don't agree with you.
Well, it's not solely because of Elon, obviously, but he made it worse by adding financial incentives to it. XKCD, another part of the internet canon, has many such comments about what things you shouldn't waste time on. And so one of those things is correcting people on the internet. Also, fun fact, or I guess life hack. If you want to get information that you want on the internet, the easiest way is to intentionally be wrong. And so if you want, say, what's it called? If you're implementing transformers and you're unclear about how to, say, do the positional embeddings in the transformer, it's not actually the correct solution or the ideal solution to just ask, what's the right way to do this? What you should do instead is confidently state, the way to do this is some obviously wrong way that you just came up with, and then 15 people will answer you right underneath.
Well, interjection for everyone who doesn't know that. It's like when you're trying to get help from an expert to help you, you don't ask them for help. It's regardless of internet. What you do is you do it, whatever you think the way to do it, and then send them. I'm done. Here's this thing. And then the expert looks at it and they can stand it,
Yeah.
what you've done. Then they will help you. Then they will change it.
Yeah.
It's like, don't ask them to do it, don't ask. It's kind of a corollary of that rule.
Yes. There's many such like
It works on me, I know.
yeah, there's many such lessons on human psychology on the internet. There's also like internet etiquette that a lot of people aren't really taught about. Say like how to ask good questions. There's a good article on that too. Say like you have to do due diligence before you ask questions on the internet, essentially, because why wouldn't you? You have access to Google and LLMs and so on. There's also the issue of over refinement. This is a comic regarding the cost benefit analysis of doing automation, but it equally applies to doing good writing. Many times I found the inclination, not only in myself, but also in friends and people I try to get into writing, of just like obsessively refining this one post until it's like completely perfect. And the thing is like they haven't really written before. And so like no matter how much they refine it, it's not going to be that good. And so I would highly recommend just publishing anyway, and then improving on the next post as opposed to continually trying to improve this post. Volume matters so much more than.
Applies to your publisher parent.
Yeah, applies to actual academic papers too. You should just get like the minimally complete thing and then refine it to be readable. And then the next paper will be better. And then the next paper will be better. And then by the time you get 20 papers, you'll be good. Personal journey. So yeah, I back in undergrad, starting from my sophomore year, I started applying to jobs. I did over 100 applications, and I got 0 interviews. And every single one of them was rejected with machine-generated responses. It wasn't even the kindness of, oh, we looked at your thing and we found that it wasn't like the right fit. It was just like, no, we have better candidates. We have better things to do with our time. And so it was just a very insulting and kind of defeating experience. You should also go to CS career advice if you want to see more of this kind of stuff. It's kind of like, anyone here is familiar with Wall Street Bets? Yeah, it's a place where people post insane losses from people trading. People lose like $400,000 in a single trade. CS career advice is kind of the same thing, but for people in CS. I saw a post from someone today who's made a million applications, and he got 3 offers at the end of it. Yeah, a million applications through automation. But that kind of points towards the reason why this pipeline is so insanely difficult. Because it has a web portal, because you can basically open an API to it, it's going to be completely flooded. And so the only reasonable thing a company can do to all the applicants who go into this pipeline is to be completely ruthless. They have to cut out every single thing, like basically set unsatisfiable constraints on the applicants, and then they get to pick or interview from the 15 other people who are still left. So unless if you are like polymathic from Harvard, I don't know, on 20 papers, has worked with Jan LeCun, this pipeline is usually probably not for you. And so I realized this, and so I tried an alternative pipeline, and mine was Twitter. And so I got on Twitter in April 2023, on the same time that GPT-4 came out, and I started posting random nonsense. It's mostly just a comedy. It's mostly stuff like learning. What's it called? It's mostly like career learning stuff. Fun facts about floating point numbers, books about compilers, and then projects. So around 2024, this is July 2024, I started having this niche on the internet as an ML systems person. And so I would make posts in that domain, and then I would become known as.
I have a question.
Yeah.
This aesthetic of terminal with anime semi-translucent, did you steal it or did you invent it? I just love the aesthetic. You had many of those.
I have many of these. This was using a tool that an early Twitter machine learning person made called Dingboard. I'm a huge fan of Dingboard, and it's basically just like it's a segmentation model. So you're all familiar. You can paste an image, and then it'll have a segmentation mask on top. So you can drop an image and just slap it on something else.
Again, the question stands, terminal plus, did you come up with it yourself? You didn't answer that.
Oh, I see.
This is,
I'm not sure if I came up with it. I think I more so found it. It's been an undercurrent of computer aesthetics since computers were invented. We kind of lost the art sometime around MS-DOS. But companies like Berkeley Mono are US Graphics. Has anyone seen US Graphics? Just show everyone US Graphics. It's a beautiful, beautiful website. I guess a recurring trend probably in this talk is going to just be the internet is beautiful, and I would like to see more beautiful things on the internet. Here we go. Beautiful website. They make a $70 font that I've seen many people buy. Utterly beautiful. And you can make software with that font. So this entire website is rendered in monospace, for example. This could just as easily work in terminal. There's also terminal.shop. It's a coffee shop you can buy through SSH. So you can SSH terminal.shop, and then you can enter your payment information, and then coffee will magically.
but they're limiting their user base, client base.
It's also available through the website.
Okay.
But yeah, you can also buy it through the terminal.
Like 99.99%, 9999 of people don't know what SSH is.
That's okay, don't worry.
We'll use it. We'll definitely use your trends.
They'll learn. I'm seeing a contraction of technology back towards self-hosting and like control over data and also platform, because there was this boom during it was zero. The interest rate was 0% for a decent amount of time, and so during that time, big tech was able to sponsor these gigantic like web platforms like AWS and GCP and Microsoft Azure. But now that the interest rates are hiked up again, that's no longer responsible, or that's no longer financially doable. But for most people's websites, you can easily host it on an old phone. You can easily host it on GitHub for free. You can easily host it on anything. It's like you already have everything that you need to be able to get a home on the internet. And you don't have to go through these gigantic platforms. And in the same way, you don't have to inherit their aesthetics. You don't have to inherit the aesthetics of Twitter. You don't have to do that for Facebook, Instagram. You can make your own home. Can also show examples of one of my favorite bloggers. Gordon is an anyone here heard of Gordon? No? Anyone here heard of nicotine patches? Yeah. His blog post on nicotine and the effects of nicotine on mental performance was a huge driver towards the resurgence of nicotine use in the tech space. And so people probably would not be talking about nicotine, like the gum patches and stuff, if not for Grum. And so this guy is completely anonymous. No one knows who he is. Supposedly he lives on $9,000 a year, which is ridiculous. But he makes beautiful websites and beautiful blogs. And it's astonishing to me that you can do sort of world-class writing and research, because he does also do writing on stuff like Bitcoin, he does stuff about statistics, he does stuff regarding traditional experiments in psychology, like he has a blog regarding does mouse utopia exist? A beautiful article. Everyone here has heard of Math Utopia, right? Yeah. John Calhoun. Essentially, scientifically somewhat dubious. Probably shouldn't be used as an actual teaching example in psychology and in psychology classes. It's the way that I think about it is that Gordon is doing for free what usually you have to go through pretty rigorous scientific training to do, which kind of goes to show that you can develop a lot of these skills like scientific writing only through the internet. It's not exactly common, but it's not impossible.
Oh, there's Distill.
It's still.
Yeah, Distill by Chris Ola. right? So it's like trying to reimagine scientific writing as well.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's another one of my points. I have a beef with scientific writing. You've read papers before, you know that, or if you've written papers before, the thing that you put on the text is completely unrelated to the thing that led you to discover it. Usually, I mean, some people will actually say this, I believe, for GANs. Get the name of the guy. Who's it that invented GANs again? Ian Goodfellow?
Andrew Phil is gone, yeah.
Yeah, right. Like he went on podcast and then explicitly said, "Oh yeah, we came up with it in a bar," and then I was like madly experimenting with it in the bar, and then by the end of the night, I was actually already done. But then he went on to like present this massive mathematical argument on like, "Oh yeah, how is this derived?" And that's just not how he came up with the experiment or the idea in the first place. With blocks, you don't have to do that. There's no formula you kind of have to follow. You can do whatever you want. And so
No, but that's a cheat. Your favorite already mentioned Richard Feynman would do that all the time. He would painfully, mathematically derive his methods by writing a lot, and then burn all of that and think hard how to cheat people by telling them an intuitive idea that he came up with. Now that he knows that it's true.
yeah.
And because it's because there is a, I'm just throwing it out there. There is a, in the Western culture, there is a culture of show off. In the Eastern culture, and that's a question to you, there is a culture of I was working really hard. And there is in the Western culture, especially undergrad, there is like I haven't even worked and I got A on this test.
Yeah.
It's kind of the opposite. So Feynman was a like example of that. He would try super hard to grab that title. Like I intuitively came up with it. Although people who know it closely knows that it's the other way around. So there is a like psychology in it as well. So
Look, you also have Einstein. In his papers on relativity, he does actually go through directly how he came up with it through the. Do you know the original paper?
The popular kind of book that he wrote about, but Einstein and relativity, I would not bring up because of Lorentz and Poincaré, who have done the work and haven't been cited. So I don't trust what he wrote.
I see.
Sorry, because I just historical record shows me he didn't do it this way.
Yeah. Well, it's tough.
And Einstein is a saint figure, so I don't want to hurt religious feelings, everyone's, but well, he's a human. Yeah. His historical record shows me it didn't happen this way.
Yeah. But you don't have to do that. You don't. If it's your work, you can actually present it the way that you want. And the barrier to entry is so low that you don't have to like ask for permissions or like require external funding. And then with all of the incentive structures that go alongside that, you can just publish, and lots of people do. So along my journey on Twitter, this blog called Attention is Logarithmic, and got attention from our friend, our great friend Andre Karpov. And this was kind of like blow up moment.
No, but people don't understand. Can you show his front page how many subscribers he had?
On YouTube
Twitter.
on Twitter. He's like at 1 million something followers probably.
Yeah. It's when a person with 1 million followers comments on your website, some percentage, maybe 3 of those 1 million followers see that, right?
See, they're gonna make me log in. It's gonna be miserable. 1.4 million followers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the very instant someone like that or comments on your post, it's immediately on 1 million people's eyeballs. Which is kind of scary, but knowing that that kind of thing can happen has somewhat pushed me towards being more rigorous in my work, which is nice. It's like all the benefits of enforced rigor without necessarily a lot of the upfront costs. Like I don't have to be part of a lab in order to publish books like that, though it would help. Nor do I have to ask for permission. Okay, it's back to. So ingredients to success. Okay. Yeah. So the inverse thing happened by November when I was asking around for a job. That was the only post that I made. I didn't tell anyone. And I just posted it, and apparently a bunch of my friends jumped in and referred me. And so that ended up with me having to do 0 applications with 10 plus interviews, and then I got 3 offers at the end. And so, surprising, because I didn't know this was a thing that happened. But then once it happened, and then I went to San Francisco, and then I asked around as to how people got their jobs. This is essentially how everyone gets their jobs. Basically, no one gets hired through the portal. You essentially have to get a referral first, or you directly DM the CEO and then you have a conversation, or you write some work that's kind of tangential to the research being done at some lab, and then someone reaches out. Or you can ask opinions on the post. People are extremely willing and open to do this kind of thing. In fact, it's a later point, but yeah, like people are extremely open because this gateway has few enough people that the resources can be disproportionately allocated. Like I am able to help 10, 20 people with their work, but if I just opened up my, say like, I proudly openly declare that I'm willing and able to help people with their GitHub code or like research or whatever, it would just be completely inundated and I wouldn't be able to do any work. And so this is a tried and true pathway towards getting a job. And this is probably the only career advice, like actual practical career advice that is going to be in this talk, which is that real, genuine human connection established within the field through iterative work and also like this back and forth thing that happens, especially in open source software, is a much more practical and also the original way that people got jobs in this field. Yes.
Yeah, it reminds me, I was working before the dot-com crash. One of my colleagues, he was, according to Microsoft, most valued person. So it's just like 10 most valued Microsoft people in the world, and they were kind of like him as the best.
Yeah.
Best. And I asked him how he got that, and he said that he was living on the internet, and there was somebody who had a problem, and he knew how to, he was like a database guy. So he told the guy, oh, you fix it, you have the wrong version of this, and this is how you do it. And the guy who he helped had a pseudonym, so
yep.
It was just like ABC123 he helped. But apparently ABC123 was like a big boss at Microsoft. And he was very impressed. And then he became the most valued person.
Yeah, there's so many cases like that. And so the pseudo anonymity kind of goes both ways. It's not comfortable being a popular person or like a respected person on the internet. It's kind of miserable being Karpathy actually. The last time Karpathy opened his mouth, he launched vibe coding, and the effects of that have been disastrous for software at large. And so now, after he wrote NanoChat, has anyone here seen the podcast that he did after writing NanoChat? Yeah, he essentially did a 180. He's like, LLMs were completely useless to me while I was writing this. RL is very stupid. It's not going to work, and the current paradigms that we have won't be able to actually help with frontier research, which I largely agree with. But it took some. Not only did it take some time, it's scary that an individual person like Karpathy isn't like he's extremely influential in the field as an educator. And he's also a great engineer. But he's not. Yeah, he's not.
He hasn't done anything.
Yeah, he hasn't like did a landslide research paper or engineering project, and yet every single word that comes out of his mouth is like insanely magnified. And so people like Karpathy definitely also have pseudo-anonymous accounts, and so being a good Samaritan kind of on the internet and also being roughly generous with your time goes a very long way. Yeah. And so regarding things that actually work, I actually don't know what exactly works. And so the best way to show that is through example. This is Fernando Goretti's website. Great website, beautiful website. He writes books too, and he also made this language called Austro. This is the kind of I guess, quintessential tech blogger kind of blog. You have some writing, you have some projects, and then you have some writing about the projects. And then you have another case, Wolfram. I didn't actually realize that Wolfram was an insanely good writer. And so here are two blogs from him that are also amazingly written. And these are not new. Neither of these blogs were like discoveries by Wolfram. It was just not rewording exactly, it's a reinterpretation of the story behind, say, Lamech calculus and also formal mathematics. And so even just by giving your own take or giving your own perspective on something that you learned. I tell my friends this all the time. I have a friend who's studying mathematics. He's like way above his pay grade in terms of the kind of mathematics that he's studying. He's studying differential geometry as an undergrad. Ridiculous. He should just be writing about those things and he'll get like all the social credit that he'll ever need. And if he wants to ask for funding to do like an experiment or two, he'll easily get that kind of thing. But people don't do it because they think that probably been said before, but that's not true.
No, it's true.
It's not true.
It's been said before.
No.
Everything been said.
Well, the thing is, even if it's been said before, you can still look for it, and
The only thing you add is mistakes, but that can be created.
I'm not sure about that. I think you're too much of a cynic at that point.
No.
No, I think there are new things all the time. I think in the early days of making statements at large, you end up stepping over the foot of the giants a lot. But I think you eventually get better, and then you waltz your way towards the frontier of knowledge. And then once you're there, you can now make statements that are genuinely novel. But you can't get there without first walking the tread. And so, like, I experienced this a lot. Every single new idea that I thought I came up with, I look back. Oh yeah, Turing came up with that. Oh yeah, Von Neumann came up with that already. Or like it's most things have been said before.
You're not looking far enough back. You're not looking far enough back.
Yeah, Leibniz also. Yes. Leibniz is a common sniper.
Okay.
But that's kind of an argument also for reading wide and large. If you think about how much there is to read, there really isn't that much. Like in terms of the scientific canon within a given field, there's maybe like an undergraduate degree's worth of knowledge to read. And so you can actually work your way through that. And then once you work through that, questions, right? Oh, that's all right. Yeah, once you've worked through that, you've essentially made yourself into kind of an expert. If you can actually pitch that. So even something like good question. Anyone here has wanted to study like theoretical math but hasn't found a way to get into it? No one? Okay, never mind. Whatever. Anyone has a pet field that you want to study but haven't found a way to get into it? What's your field, Steve?
Linguistics.
Linguistics, right. If I showed you a guided tour of linguistics corpus, would you read it?
I already started reading.
Huh?
I already started reading.
Exactly. Okay, yeah. So even if you aren't presenting anything new, a guided tour of your journey through the field is actually also pretty helpful to the corpus, to the field itself.
Oh no, actually, like on the cynical side, it's while you are learning something, you are the only person who understands the difficulties. Because once I've learned stuff, I forgot all the difficulties that I went through because I deleted them. I built a better model now and I don't remember. So when I teach you something that I myself learned, it's all incorrect. It's from the perspective of somebody who already went through the journey and forgot about it. It's just too painful to remember. So while you're going through the pain, you have to write it down because others will probably go through the same pain, and then you will not remember when you went through the pain.
Yeah. This is also a request for more research blogs. I'm also doing my own research blog right now. It's kind of private, but I can also share it.
Yeah, it's detoxing.
Detox. So I'm doing experimental experiments right now, and I have many a building family of blogs that are kind of accumulating. And so by the end of it, not only will the end result of the research come out, but also the experiments that you have to run, like what works, what didn't work. The incentives are strange for a journal And those constraints don't exist in a free internet environment. As a journal, you have constraints on length because you have reviewers who have to be kind of somewhat compensated for their work. And you have a limited amount of capital and resources to allocate towards reading. But in an internet environment, you can just release a bunch of stuff, like whatever you want on your website. And then people are free to find that information and look through it if they find it useful. And so in a zero scarcity world like that, it always makes sense to say more instead of less. I would also even discourage like editing to a large extent, just kind of say whatever you would say and then just publish that. But yes. Yeah, Underdog Coffee. So you might know him as the machine learning educator guy, but he also is like huge in like the blogging space for stuff like biohacking. He's also a competitive Rubik's Cube solver, that mosquito. So it goes to show that you don't necessarily only have to blog within your field, you can blog across fields, and people also find that very interesting. And one thing that I hear repeatedly from people who have to do hiring at the top end is that they actually don't care necessarily what you have expertise in, but it's just that world-class talent in general is transferable. And so if you are world-class at juggling, it's very likely that given minimal training in a different field, you also will become world expert because the meta skill that people want to look for is learning. No, you disagree?
No, I disagree. There is a nice blog post.
Incredible. Come on.
I forgot what it's called, but it's about intersections of skills. It's impossible to become the best in the world in something, and it's much easier to become the best in the world in 3 things. Or 4.
I probably agree.
Oh, there is a nice blog with nice illustrations. I will find it and
Yeah. I agree with that.
And it's fantastic argument for that.
Yeah.
It's just to
Well, yeah, you should probably like regarding skill development in general, you probably should study synergistic skills. Like if you are doing machine learning, it's probably a very poor idea to only study theoretical machine learning. You should also probably learn some systems. You might also want to learn some like hardcore math.
and you need breaks.
Yeah, you need breaks. And so
I get bored.
yeah.
Studying one thing.
I had this tactic back in undergrad. It was called the infinite procrastination wheel.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I'm still on it. Don't talk.
No, yeah, so like if you're the kind of person who procrastinates by doing something else, what you can do is set up a, samsara wheel where you procrastinate from one thing by studying another thing, and you procrastinate from that by studying a different thing, and then you procrastinate from that by
Well, no, don't do that, because then the only way for you to get this darn grant done is like to get this pile of other things that you're like
three iterations of
so that the grant is the most interesting.
Well, by the time you have deadlines, yeah, you do have to refine your technique. If you just want breadth at the start of your career, this is one of the strategies that you can employ. You essentially become a perpetual motion machine, and it's great. You don't even notice time passing. Another case of random blogs, Nir Sayan. Nir Sayan is at this point probably a billionaire. But he got a job at the company that makes Stable Diffusion. And now he writes blogs on how to Twitter successfully. He's a Claude enjoyer. Like, all I'm saying is that the constraints on what a blog is, what it's about, is essentially just bound to whatever interests you. And you should probably put that on the internet because this is the easiest way for you to become indexable by not only humans, but also LLMs. Here's one of my friends, not Nir Sayan. This is Token Vendor. He makes a RL framework called Avatar RL, but he also writes blogs regarding how he uses plot code. Anyone here uses plot code? Everyone's used plot code. You're missing out.
Didn't you also stop using cloud?
Huh?
Didn't you also stop using cloud code?
Because it's expensive. I'm still using other LLMs. Yeah. Who here copy paste stuff? Yeah, who here copy paste from LLMs into your terminal or code editor? I mean, everyone. Yeah, basically everyone. Yeah. You can try using out an agent, and there's an exercise at the end of this talk that might benefit from using an agent. Another point that I kind of want to make is that greatness cannot be planned. You cannot plan in advance what you will become a world expert in, or like what you will be known for. This is something that is revealed more so through doing and seeing how the world interacts with your work. One of my favorite writers on the internet, this person named Janice, completely insane person, probably possessed by the LLMs ever since GPT-2, but they write amazing blogs on how to do, like, how do you interpret the results or the phenomenology that is language models? Like, when people talk about LLM consciousness, I mostly find that to be a question of lesser importance than, say, the question of, say, who are you talking to when you're talking to the LLM? Like, what is the assistant? Or who is Claude? Who is GPT? How does knowledge about what GPT is propagate through time? And these kinds of questions are like purely empirical. You can actually answer them. And you can do this traceback through time of what happened to the internet corpus or to the LLMs or to the companies that develop the LLMs. And you can develop a coherent image and they piece it together. And it's some of the best writing on language models that I've seen on the internet. Same thing applies to me. You would think that people, say, like CEOs of companies would go to me and like talk about my posts, my blog posts. No, most people actually come up and then they talk to me about my anime reviews, which is like something I did in my spare time just because I wanted to. And they connect with that, and then that's how the conversation starts. And then they start talking about more technical things.
Which ones do they talk about? Can I ask that?
The anime reviews are the thing that they usually talk about.
I can't quite see it. Can you read them? What animes are they about?
Quite many. You can go to baidu.com/anime reviews.
I'm just kind of curious about that.
Yeah. If you want.
Are you procrastinating?
Hmm?
The talk.
Yeah, I'm procrastinating the talk currently.
I'm kind of curious, like, what's the best anime to talk about with the CEO?
Best anime? Probably Evangelion. Probably Evangelion is a good choice. I've started many talks with people, with CEOs and other people working at companies by talking about Evangelion. One of my technical interviews opened by us talking about the end of Evangelion and also God Emperor of Doom. Both of those works, excellent. Both of those works very relevant if you're doing work in the more recent AI space. Okay, so this is the portion of the talk where we speed run making a website. A guided walkthrough where it's just talking to ChatGPT. Step 1, you open chatgpt.com. This is an exercise. And then you ask, how do I make a static website? And then you check out some options. Jekyll is the most common, and Jekyll is also the default that you can use if you are just tossing markdown files onto GitHub. You can actually just do this, by the way. You can just like write markdown files and toss them to GitHub, and GitHub will automatically host them. And so you don't even have to do anything. I use Quartz, which is a different thing that renders it to make it look like Obsidian nodes. And aside from doing a framework, you can also just do raw HTML. Nat Friedman has a beautiful website in pure HTML and CSS. Praiselist is also a beautiful website. Extremely minimal, extremely clean. You can find exactly what you're looking for. And so the barrier to entry, you don't have to learn JavaScript or anything, God forbid. You can just write text basically. And even if you don't want to write or like format this, you can also just ask ChatGPT to do it for you. So this stuff is very easy. Definitely not neuroscience. And all of you are experts in neuroscience. So this is significantly easier. But the barrier to, or the return on investment is extremely high. Yeah, examples of Jekyll websites. Vitalik Buterin. Anyone here knows who that is? Ethereum guy. Yeah, Ether guy. He also writes a bunch of blogs, and his website is using Jekyll. George Hotz also has a blog, and yeah, it's also Jekyll. And then once you've chosen your choice of website framework, you can ask GPT for more questions. You can follow the instructions from ChatGPT. Here is me following the instructions, and then I got a website up. And then now you can ask how to make a new article. So you can see it's in underscore posts. So I made a new article. Hello, DMAP. That's a grand total of maybe 2 minutes. And so if you follow through these, you can continue asking ChatGPT back and forth. Eventually, you'll be led to GitHub pages. You'll be led to Namecheap, or you buy a domain for yourself. If you do this, please do this at home and send your websites to me. And so I'll review them and I'll boost them. Yeah. Chapter 6. This is something that you are owed. You are all owed this. Every single person on the world with an internet connection, people have fought on your behalf in order for you to have a space on this internet. People like Aaron Schwartz and John Perry Barlow. Aaron Schwartz is anyone here uses Markdown? He's the guy who invented it.
R Markdown? I think.
Huh?
R Markdown?
Yeah, R Markdown.
Yeah, okay, I use it.
Yeah, Markdown. Anyone here been to JSTOR? This is all our time. It's essentially a bunch of articles that were kind of ripped off of academic press because he got very mad at the fact that you have to pay like $30 per article to get access to
Sci-Hub
press.
works.
Huh?
Sci-Hub works.
Yeah, Sci-Hub works. Yeah. Yeah, many people have fought and some have died to make it so that the internet is free and open for everyone. And so, like even here, like Linus Torvalds, his entire career, Richard Stallman, whatever you have to say about his politics, we would not have the software that we have for basically nothing without these people. And so you are all owed this space. It's kind of like a country that everyone is a citizen of, but not everyone knows that you can just get infinite real estate on the place. Even though the real estate is so incredibly valuable. It's more valuable than like basically most things you can buy. You can get contact to, like you can email either of these people today. You can email this person also, you can email Karpathy, you can email Sam Altman, you can email GDP. You can email all these people and you would not be able to do that if not for the work of these people to make it so that the internet is freely available to everyone. So that concludes my talk. Any questions?
Is there a better moniker and pseudonym opposed to others? How do you come up with an optimal one? Like how do I min-max my pseudonym?
So do you know sampling theory?
Yeah, you take a couple of samples and refer to the population, like in terms of statistics.
Yeah, you can do just that. So you sample a bunch, you create a bunch of, yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that.
There we go. Yeah, you list out like 10 of them,
Yeah.
and you try using them, and then you see what you like, or you see what the community responds well to. General guidelines, things that are easy to type, easy to read, are very nice. Which is also short is usually better. Domains also don't get a funky domain like .express or .computer. Just get a .com. .com is still good.
What about .gg?
.gg is usually
Okay.
yes. More questions?
Yeah, I was wondering, if you ever encountered like fraudsters and criminal people that's trying to abuse you. Somebody showed Craigslist and I just tried to sell one thing and I got like 10.
Oh yeah.
guys.
Oh yeah.
They're gonna send me a check for my washing machine.
Oh yeah.
And then I actually went on ChatGPT and ChatGPT.
Online, it's gotten better. Today is very buys off of these days, like this MacBook. Okay. Also, insane laptop you can
Right.
buy for money.
But you gotta watch out on eBay too. You have to go through pay.
Through PayPal.
Yeah, on eBay.
No, you can just pay through your credit card.
Well, anyway, I have seen, I think I had some fraud case.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
eBay as well.
It's fortunately gotten better as there's more users these days. But yeah, that's still a concern. Like Craigslist is probably don't find a place to stay over Craigslist. But yeah, but just in the scope of making a website, everything is free, and so it's usually no harm, no foul. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was wondering, have you seen any blogs written by LLMs?
Oh God, like so many. Like most blogs are going to be written by LLMs. It's in fact, if you are willing to write your own blogs.
So which is your favorite LLM blog?
Which is my favorite LLM blog? Word has an article generated entirely by LLMs.
Oh, so it's a human who actually.
Yeah, it's a human prompting an LLM. Yeah. LLMs are fortunately not smart enough to run their own personality on the internet. That writes too much, dude. Okay, I can find it later. But yes, a lot of people do use LLMs for writing. LLMs are actually way better at writing than you think. It's mostly that the available ones on, say, ChatGPT or Claude are tuned for the entire internet. Which makes it so that their writing is usually very bland. There isn't like any point of center. But if you feed in your own examples of writing, inside examples, usually they end up writing at a much higher quality, but nowhere near the top quality of what humans could write. Like I don't expect Hamlet to come out of an LLM or something of the same quality and novelty as Hamlet to come out of an LLM for a very long time. Yeah, and so for now, we're in a moment where human writers are still way better than LLMs. And so if you make a website and you write it for yourself, you'll be significantly ahead of everyone. And the smell of an LLM is so incredibly obvious that like every single time I see it, it's like, it's not just X, it's Y. Like every time I see that pattern, I just completely skip the article. And things. Any more questions? I have some free questions if anyone wants them. So first question that I'll be very quick question. Yes.
So in terms of creating a software, do you always think that open source is the best if you want to make money on your software, or do you think proprietary software has a place?
It depends on the piece of software and it depends on the scale. If you are developing like small tooling, say like Brainshot CLI is pretty small. The cost of auditing the software is very little, and so doing an open source kind of project is usually very feasible. At the medium scale, where a lot of things might be changing, I think proprietary actually might be better. It's difficult because for certain kinds of software, like say TinyGrad right now is being developed by a private company, but it's also open source, but it's basically a dictatorship. And so there's an argument to be made on, is it open source versus is it proprietary? Like, to what extent does the community actually have right access over that code base? I think for hairy, medium scale software that haven't been fully fleshed out yet, I think actually proprietary is a better thing to have. Open source is more for refinement. Even like Linux. Linux would not have been around if not for Unix. And Linux makes very few changes on top of Unix.
Have you made any money on advertising?
No, I don't put any advertising. I actually make a rule for myself to not take any money for the writing work that I do.
So you actually could get money for advertisement, but you declined it?
Yeah, because I find the incentives introduced by taking money using whatever metrics that the platforms choose to give me for dilutes my writing quality. It dilutes, it basically confuses me. Instead of writing only for the sake of quality, I now write for money. And this is.
Why would you write for money? I mean, do you know even what advertisements are going to be on your blog or whatever it is?
I could give estimates for that. I know that like roughly, given my number of impressions on Twitter, what even the amount I would get for my Twitter account would be. It'll be in the order currently of a couple $100 to $1,000 a month. I posted regularly. Yeah, in the range of, like I get a couple million.
You would get $1,000 a month?
Yeah. Yeah, it's.
But you're declining that. You're saying.
Well, it's twofold. I can't take the money because I'm international, but I could move back home and then take money that way. But
it will influence what you're writing.
yeah, it influences what I write, and so I would be much more inclined to write like trendy, like explosive kind of tweets. Like I wrote a tweet recently. Armina saw it, I think.
Yes.
Of like the only thing happening in the States is AI, because if you subtract out data centers, GDP growth in the States is only 0.1%. I hate that tweet. I despise that tweet. I made it in a stupor at night, trying to make a point, and I knew I was touching something somewhat electric, but I touched it anyway because someone needed to say it. But I blocked that tweet. Like I muted that tweet pretty much instantly. Yeah.
So if you want an American bank account, then I can give you my bank account.
I have I have considered such schemes, but the IRS is getting smarter and smarter. My criteria is whatever kind of fraud I can detect from other people, I probably should expect other people to be able to detect from me. And so That kind of like money fiddling is not something that I'm gonna touch. Besides, the upside, the financial upside of getting a job through these kinds of blog posts is so immensely high that it's not worth the chump change of like a couple extra $100 to a couple thousand a year. You can easily leverage these kinds of blogs into a six-figure job. Or more. Like a lot of people who got hired by Thinking Machines and Meta primarily wrote papers and blogs, and they're getting paid $1 billion over the course of a couple of years. But yeah, it's like the potential upside of doing writing extremely well is so stupendously high that it doesn't make any sense to hamper that quality with by confusing your incentives.
So it favors, the whole approach favors people who can and love to write. And this doesn't cover all of possible people's intelligences, right? Not all people are good writers. It's a very specific recent skill that has been developed.
I don't like that theory. The theory of multiple intelligences has so many issues with it, though. It's so.
Oh, so only people who can write well deserve to survive. But
No, I just think
the evolution shows us otherwise.
There's a spin on the quote of history is written by the winners, which is that history is written by the literate. And I agree with the second version more. How do I say this? I think the difficult thing is for every position of power that you might inhabit, writing is basically an integral skill. It's basically the same thing as writing, or it's the same thing as thinking. It's the same thing as articulating your actions. If you're unable to articulate your thoughts in a coherent manner, you most likely won't be able to do most intellectual jobs. And yeah, this is very oriented towards intellectual jobs. I don't imagine this trajectory would get you a position in the NBA, for example. But we're all academics, and so it's like choose your battles, I guess.
No, but even intellectual jobs are not all about writing.
Code is also writing.
Show me a blog post, that only consists of code.
TinyGraph.
It's not a blog, it's.
No, it reads like prose. Like if you read TinyGraph code, it reads exactly like prose. If you read tensor.py in TinyGraph, it explains exactly what the operation is doing, far better than multitudes of blogs and documents on PyTorch.
Okay, so you don't have to have a blog, just have a GitHub account.
That too, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't.
Publish your code.
That too. If you write good code, it's basically the same thing as writing good text.
Well, it's very different, I argue, because you're communicating with even less percentage of population by writing only code.
Yeah.
Like you're excluding even many people in the room. I wouldn't read TinyGraph code.
Well, which is why you probably should also. My thesis is if you didn't write about it, it didn't happen. And so if you are doing something technical, it's probably very beneficial for you to also write a blog about it that explains a lot of the technical details in prose as opposed to only code. There's also a lot of things that can't be captured exactly in code, like capturing negatives in code is kind of hard. Like something went wrong, but I don't know what. And expressing a hypothesis on what went wrong is very hard to write in code. But I do see your point. But it's also a place where doing both doesn't really hurt, and the cost is not very high to do both. It's regarding the same material that you were doing anyway. Like everyone here runs tons of examples, but very few people have websites where they discuss those that work.
Yes, but people may be shy, afraid of criticism, and et cetera, et cetera. It's like.
I don't think you can get away from that. Like it's a natural part of being someone in the intellectual space. And you are going to say wrong things, and you are going to say half-baked things, and they'll be corrected, and that's okay. It's okay to say wrong things. And the added benefit of pseudo-anonymity is if you say enough stupid things, just torch that identity and then move on to the next.
Okay, let's save this. I think we're going way over.
Yeah, we're going.
Yeah.
Yeah. But thank you, Mike.
Yes, thank you everyone
Kind
for
of
coming.
Informal, I think, so. Yeah, I don't know.
If you need to go, you can go.
If you need to clap, you can clap, but. That's kind of a movie flies and fly.
We have to clap.
You don't have to clap, but if you have an urge to.
Uh,
But Mike has this invention that I really like, is like.
Canned questions, amazing invention. It's great.
Yeah, have you been on conferences where you presented and nobody asked questions? I've been on too many, and it feels wasted time, like so much effort, everyone came and nobody's asking questions, why did I come to the conference? So Mike came up with this invention, you offer them better numbered questions, and like, which one do you want me to answer? If you cannot ask a question, just point.
Do multiple choice.
Yeah, just multiple choice, and then people are more,
You might paint their own face because we have questions.
well, but it's you, notice other people are still